Man, we're not done, but the season is over for FSU. College football season, regular season in general is done. A lot of wild stuff going on. Bowl season's right around the corner. Coaching season, coaching carousel still in full effect, which affects early recruiting, which is still new and wild. Athletic directors being hired and fired, and all kinds of good stuff going on in the world. But as far as consistency, you're gonna always get me at Big Game James underscore 36 and my guy Struggle May 105, Freddie Stevenson, and this is Inside Drills, where we bring it to you rough, real, and raw. I thought about trying to do a Twitter space, but that stuff is like, man, that thing is wild, bro. If you see
Yeah,
these people are like,
on it, man. I don't know.
I didn't like Clubhouse,
Yeah,
so
I was on Clubhouse for a little bit, but then it started to become too much. You got people, man. That's the thing about the internet, man. A lot of people ain't really got stuff going on in the real world, so they take that stuff too serious, man.
right, man, like it's people like, man, we had 900 people, we had 2,000 people in our space, and I'm like, did you get paid? Or
Yeah,
you
like
or like is there or it's not always about money. Like, is there an end game? Like, did you like get some good advertising? Did you do and that's no disrespect to, like, I see Josh, I like what Josh is them doing with Knowles 247.
mhm.
They're doing their spaces to get you to come join 247. So there's like a end game to it. A lot of guys are just doing spaces just to do spaces, which is just wild to me. Like, I told somebody else, like, that just sounds like more work. Like,
Yeah,
I already don't like working.
purpose out here.
Yeah, so, but but I figured we'll do it this way. And then the other thing is, it's not canonized. That's what I don't like. And what I mean by that is, once you're done with the space, it goes away
Yeah,
unless you got somebody screen capturing it. And again, that's a lot of extra work too. Like, you could just do a podcast and upload it, or do a Twitter live like what we're doing right now, which is basically the same thing. But we're on Twitter live. If you're on at sportsden underscore live, if you're watching us on Twitter live, just like Spaces, you can't comment. So you have to go to the YouTube, which is the Sports Den, excuse me, no, Sports Den live on YouTube, or the Sports Den on Facebook, and you can comment. And yeah, man, like, yeah. So, anyways, let's recap the season, man.
yeah. Let's get to it.
Up and downs, man. Like, crazy, 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 crazy season. So much, kind of like hope. I won't say expectation, but hope went in. Um, Played Notre Dame to a level that very few would even believe that we would play Notre Dame to. And so that gave us even more hope moving forward into the season than the three more losses in a row, one of them being the worst loss in school history to Jacksonville State. Like, thinking the world's going to end, and then pulling victory out of the jaws of defeat against Syracuse, and then going on a run there, playing Clemson closer than you've played them any time, like the last few years. And it's a season of close, like good and bad. We could have easily been 10-2. Could have also easily been 2-10. It's just, that's the thing that I think is what they got to go and change next year is, like, you got to learn how to dominate the opponent. You got to, like, really make them submit, and then you got to get yourself, like, so where you're only playing 2 or 3 close games a year. The good teams only play like 1 to 2 close games a year because they go out and make sure all the opponents are dominated and taken care of.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you. The season was up and down, and just taking a look back at it as we go through a few of the games. Notre Dame, man, that was a game we had a lot of high expectations after that game, despite what people think the roster may be. It was like, man, this team is competing like we haven't seen them compete in years. So we're gonna have an opportunity to win some games that nobody expected us to win. Then you fast forward to the next week, we lose to Jacksonville State. So it completely sent everything that we were hoping for in the season. Like, all right, we don't know what team we got now. Last week, this team looked amazing, and they almost came out with a win against a top 10 team. and now they're losing to a FCS opponent that they paid to come play. So from that point, as fans, you didn't really know what to expect. We go on the 0-4 losing streak. We finally get that win against Syracuse, which I think was big.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it, man, we put ourselves in that situation. Looking back at the Jacksonville State game, just analyzing things as a fan and just people that know the game a little bit, I think they kind of jumped the gun on the QB switch a little bit. So that kind of put us in the situation where you got a new guy in there. And what we've been saying all year, 13 is the guy that gotten this coaching staff all their wins. So we got the shirts on.
Represent J Trav.
we got the coaching staff all their wins. So I think they jumped the gun a little bit when you got just a small sample of what McKenzie could do in that Notre Dame game. And they jumped the gun. J Trav led the team that whole game. So I think he should have gave it a little bit more. And the rhythm was just off against Jacksonville State. And I think that's where that L came in. You give a bad team opportunities, eventually they're going to start getting luckier in the game. And that's how that L happened. And I feel like it shook the team up a little bit because confidence was shaky those next few games.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it on this show. It was actually like one of my first articles that I ever wrote. I'm probably going to write this article every year for the rest of my life, as long as I'm in media, about my grandmother and my experience against Clemson and things like that, and fans being fans. It's no disrespect to fans, but there's a reason why some people have never been able to be on that football field, and you pay attention, but you don't pay as close attention as you think you do. And but if you read those message boards and you read the press clips and you read a lot of these things and you live and die by it, you're going to find yourself being a fan a lot faster than you chose to be. So I think, they read the Notre Dame clippings and felt good about themselves, but they also read the Jacksonville State where, and rightfully so, the morale of the fan base was low because we've never been in that situation before. And I think that kind of put themselves in a spiral, a downward spiral where they couldn't get themselves, they had to really fight, scratch and claw to get themselves back up, because now you go get demolished by a Wake Forest team, which is one of the better Wake Forest team that they've had. But I'm going to be, like I've said this consistently, it's canonized. I've said it about Adam Fuller, but I've also said it about the team. I don't give a damn what you say, what anybody says, or what we see on the film. This team is not as bad as what people are making them out to be. The talent, okay, yeah, we need more talent. You need more talent every year. Your national championship team had deficiencies. You were just really, really strong in certain areas that it masked for those deficiencies. Even after that, Dalvin Cook was just that damn good, and he was so good that he masked a lot of things. I think continuity and consistency was one of the bigger deficiencies, and not knowing week to week who was going to be the guy. And hopefully J Trav again. Listen, Kenny, J Trav, Mike, me and Freddie gonna get over there, and we're gonna take J Trav for the day. We're gonna kidnap him. We're gonna make it like a training day. We're gonna feed this boy. We're gonna make sure he ain't never in 100. I don't care about the flu, none of that. We're gonna make sure he's a solid 215, 220, so he can start taking these hits, man. Because and we're gonna give him some zinc and some vitamin C, so we ain't getting the flu. Like I know COVID is bad, and I've had it, and really bad. But when I played, and I'm pretty sure you could probably remember some times too, Freddie. Like it was some cats really sick that went and played games. Like I know I've had the sniffles a couple games that I just went out there and did what the hell I needed to do, and they kept me quarantined basically when we were on the sideline away from everybody. But when I was out there, man, we were playing and throwing up and doing all that other stuff. But long story short is I need my guy healthy. Also, I want you to sell some more shirts. It's hard to sell merch when you ain't any good. Like y'all only winning 5 games, so that's the that's the thing. But again, like I said, I don't think they're as bad. I just think they didn't believe, and this is Wake Forest's best team that they've had. I believe talent wise wasn't good enough to win the ACC. So now you got you got them in a situation where they're playing. I don't know what bowl game they're playing. I forgot. Oh no, they're playing Jimbo and them boys here in Jacksonville, I believe.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
gonna get mud stopped. They're
Yeah.
gonna get mud stopped. That's how I know like we could have won more games. This isn't Louisville's athletic director, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later here because it's FSU related, was trying to fire their head coach because he didn't hold up to the standard of wins that they wanted. This wasn't the greatest Louisville teams, and we probably should have won that game. NC State, I played against the greatest NC State team in my opinion, and we whooped their ass. So like it's just I think we could have matched well enough. Now watching the SEC championship game, we got a long way to go. But as far as what the ACC presented us, the only teams that I think had more talent than us, Notre Dame, Clemson, Miami, and Florida. Three of those games, excuse me, four of those games, you should have won. And like Florida, just I still don't understand. Florida lost it. And I'm not picking on anybody. It is what it is. It happened, but like, damn, we lost to a team with 7 coaches as opposed to 10, and none of them are. We're gonna be hard pressed to find much of them coaching in the next 2 years on a Power Five level, and that's just unacceptable. And then what I found out about Anthony Richardson, this motherfucker playing on one leg. Like we joke about KZ playing on one leg. He actually, you'll hear more stuff coming out, but my guy was actually injured. So, but yeah, like I said, highs and lows. Overall, though, I ended. They didn't live up to my expectations. So I had them at 8 wins, and I still believe they're an 8-win team. I um feel more optimistic. I feel more optimistic than I did when they lost 4 in a row.
Yeah. I give the season just looking at everything through the ups and downs. After the 0-4 start, for them to climb out of that and do what they did, go on that little run, and still some games we dropped along the road. I give them a C- for the season because it could have been a lot worse, but at the same time, it could have been a lot better. So I say I give them a C- for the season.
Yeah, that's fair. See, I think a C- grade is fair, and I would actually go and give them a C because I think it's not the biggest part. I think I'm gonna count it like extra credit because it doesn't help your current season. But I believe for them to be able to have the recruiting class and the recruiting momentum that they have for that season and been able to maintain it during the 0-4 start and really not have any decommitments that really like shook you to your core. I mean, we lost the defensive lineman that was good out of Mississippi, but I'm gonna be honest with you. This is nothing against him. My boy Lawrence Steed from the great state of Mississippi. Young boy plays at Jackson State. I'm staying the fuck away from Mississippi, man. Like it's just them boys don't leave. I think the only reason we got Cam Akers was because Ole Miss was on sanctions, and like had that not happened, we probably wouldn't have got him. So like I'm just like, yo, let's just that state got issues. Like we just need to let them work on themselves and get themselves right with God, and then we'll go from there. But you know, I think the recruiting class of keeping Travis Hunter, we got to figure out how to get him on. But Travis Hunter's just dynamic.
We've been trying to make it happen. I'm gonna tap in with him soon.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, I guess moving into that, I guess we really can't talk about recruiting without talking about what actually has happened. Because one thing we do have going for us moving into next season is we'll have the longest tenured coach in the state of Florida, with Mike Norvell being going into year 3. Florida fires Dan Mullen. Miami finally stops torturing Manny Diaz and fires him a week before, last week before National Signing Day, or week and a half, 10 days before National Signing Day. They bring in Mario Cristobal at Miami. Florida brings in Billy Napier. Both are taking different strategies to recruiting. you being from a Florida stronghold, like what have you heard about, some of the things with recruiting, how recruits are affected, and what are some of your thoughts on that?
As far as the other squads,
Yeah.
as far as Florida, I know it's a lot of uncertainty right now, and I think, to be honest, a lot of the guys are feeling optimistic over in Miami. Cristobal was the guy that a lot of guys wanted to get in. I think you heard Kiffin or Mario Cristobal. So getting him in was big for them, and I hear a lot of guys echoing it. I got a guy that plays at Miami right now. He's like, man, the recruits they're loving the Cristobal hire, and they're big on it, and it's gonna get them a lot of people that we didn't expect to sign with them on signing day.
Yeah, I think it's two different strategies that they're taking. Like, and both of them could work. And I think with the infrastructure behind both of them, or I wouldn't say infrastructure. Florida has infrastructure. Miami doesn't, but they're putting money behind them. Which I'm grateful for, because it's either going to make our administration play ball, which we should have been doing, or we're going to fold and fall far behind. It kind of goes back to, I know people don't like these names, but it goes back to what Jimbo said. And I'm sure I can't speak for him, but I know if I was able to probably get Mike or Coach Norvell in private and say, "Hey man, I promise you, like none of this, like we're not going to talk about any of this," or I say, "Hey, I just need you to nod your head, confirm or deny." You still facing some of that bullshit with the administration, ain't you? I can tell you he's going to shake his head, and Jimbo had to deal with it. Tag had to deal with it, and in the tune of the things that Jimbo fought for. And this was explained to me by one of my teammates who was on both staffs, Jimbo and Taggart's staff, and would have been on Norvell's staff had he not taken another job. I wrote an article about Jimbo, and he came in and told me there was a problem I put in there. So you can't keep going back every year asking for more money and expect the fan base to say, "All right, we're going to shell it out." What he told me was that everybody sees the 6.5 million, right? Or 5 million, or they see this, they see that. Nobody's reading the fine print. And at this point, like how our media gets, they write hit pieces. And most of them got really, really bold when Jimbo left, which is part of the reason why I started like losing some respect for a lot of guys, because they never talked about Jimbo like they talk about Jimbo when Jimbo was here. And I don't even know why. Like Jimbo ain't like the biggest dude in the world. Ain't like he gonna punch you or nothing. Matter of fact, when Jimbo called out a fan after one of the games saying, "You come down here," I'm like, "Hey dog, the ticket's $5 a piece, bro. You don't know who the hell up in the stands. That might be the one that knocked your ass out." But but Jimbo was asking for analysts. He was asking for more money to be put to recruiting. He was asking for more of a commitment, and the only way to get them to listen was by him threatening to be gone. And that's not always the best for your relationship. It's kind of like if you got to threaten divorce, or you got to threaten to break up or walk out the door every time you and your spouse or your significant other gets in an argument, that spouse might change, but the minute they don't have to, they're gonna go right back. They're gonna go right back, or get comfortable. They're gonna go right back. So a lot of the money that Tag got, a lot of people don't know. Estimates between 5 to 7% of the recruiting budget was slashed. But you're expected to recruit on a high level, so you're trying to fly like where now you see coaches, and I see Mike and them doing it great with the private planes. They fly private or first class, or because it's hard to fly out of Tallahassee without having a layover somewhere, right? And that's where you got to go. So like when you slash that, you got coaches that might be flying coach now. Like you gotta pick, you gotta pitch dollars. You gotta be a little bit more structured. Whereas when you have more money, things are going. So what I say all of those things to say is Miami paying Cristobal $8 million a year, Florida playing Billy Napier 7.5. But that's not the thing. They're putting 7.5 and $8 million into their coaching staff.
Hey, we just got some breaking news, man.
Oh, is it good?
Yeah, we got
Offer switched over.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't think Mike was going to do it. I didn't think he
I
was
kind
going to
of
do
figured
it.
it was a possibility. Just when I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him a year ago, just things he's been able to do in that position, man. I thought just listening to him talk, I was like, man, he'll be a hell of a guy for that role. So when they opened up, I figured he'll consider it. I just didn't know if he was going to take it.
Yeah, I just thought he was going. It's a more power. But then I was talking to my boy OJ too about the history of the athletic director. My athletic director was Kevin Hart, not Kevin Hart. He was a joke toward the end, though. I will say that Dave Hart was the athletic director that we had at Florida State. I didn't realize how long Dave had been there, but he had been there. He was there from 1995 to 2007. So this history of like having athletic directors change every 6 years, like we had stability during one of the high points of Bowden's dynasty era. So I think you're right. He's got the experience of being an athletic director, being in some big time programs, seeing it. I just thought that money side, that was a woof. That the booster president, very powerful position at Florida State. Andy Miller was there from '89 until, and there were some things that they were going to structure. I just wonder who's going to get promoted, who's going to take over that role, because we really do need some things um, revitalized in our boosters. Side note, perfect time to be up. We might have to get Mike on now that he got
Yeah,
the new job.
we might have to. You might
But
have to.
join boosters. Everybody get that Seminole fan a Christmas gift. I think get them that $70 membership. Now, you ain't gotta give them the crazy one. Just go $70 a year. If all of our fan base just put that down, you'll be surprised at how much it'll revolutionize. But again, because we need to compete with Florida and Miami, because again, like I said, what they're doing for their on-field staff, what they're doing for their off-field staff, the commitment they're making to recruiting, um, it's going to be crazy. But Billy Napier's approach is to push out everybody that was committed. Mario Cristobal's approach is to not only try to keep who's committed to Miami now, which wasn't that many, it was like two. And one of them, I think, is on the fence right now, and do what Tag did when he left Oregon to come to Florida State. Because Manny recruited a lot of Miami guys, a lot of South Florida, a lot of South guys from the South. So he's trying to get all them cats to decommit from Oregon and come on over to Miami. So it's going to be interesting. Two different personality types that Coach Norvell has to go up against. One very stereotypical Miami, South Florida Cuban, um, and Mario Manuel. That's his middle name is Manuel. It's Manny as well. So I'm gonna always say they still got Manny. And Billy Napier, who's calculated and methodical with his approach. So Mike has a chance to really go down there and bang on the table. And I think with a guy like Mike Alford coming in, has a chance to say, like, Mike understands what needs to be done. And that also gives a little bit more job security. Because I will say this, that other guy, and I tell people all the time, they take sometimes the stuff that we say, and like people think critical is hating. It's somewhere in this new age, like when you have a critical thought or opinion, it means you dislike somebody. And I don't know when that changed or what happened, what made people get soft.
We got soft, man.
Yeah, but I don't know how many times we can have a coach on here, how many times I could glowingly talk about a guy. It's to make me let you know I like the person.
They want us to sit up and rave on them and shoot, right? They nuts all day. I ain't finna do that.
I'm not gonna do that. Like, as I've told one reporter, I hope he's here like Bobby was, if my son gets a chance to play for him. Statistically speaking, from across the nation, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna always be here. Like, I'm gonna always be a no. Getty Images made sure of that. ESPN Classic Games made sure of that. I'm gonna always be able to go where I want to go. He might not be able to. So I'm not finna go. It's about the brand and all of those things. So,
hey, we did it. We said it, man. we might need to put out another campaign, man. Last year we kind of had a hit with getting people signed up for the boosters, but we said it last year. It's
Right.
about the brand, man. Whether it's when I said it last year, whether it's Jimbo, Willie, whoever the case, we're gonna support whatever coach in here, and it's the standard. Gonna stay the standard. I don't
Time, talent, treasure, baby.
Yeah, we rocking with you because you represent that same brand that we banged out for. We bled, we sweat on that field, and we scored in both end zones. So whoever's the coach, we want to see you be successful. I don't get the whole when you don't like the coach thing, when you disagree with something that they do. We rocking with them.
I actually like Mike, but there's this thing. I don't know if you guys seen Fences before with Denzel Washington. When his son came in there, and his son asked him, "Why don't you like me?" And Denzel, and actually I liked oh man, what's my guy's name with the great voice? Played Mufasa. James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones' voice was better. And it was what law is there say I got to like you? I ain't worried about who likes me or dislikes me. All I'm worried about is who does right by me. That's what you're best worried about. And we're gonna always do right by the program and whoever's there, like what those guys are doing. But again, if you wanna, I always tell people this: the reason why I could be loud and outspoken outside of scoring in both those end zones and bleeding and sweating on that field is that every year Danielle Frito, I think that's how you say her name, she's gonna call me. And she knows I'm gonna pay my booster, I'm gonna pay my booster fees. And she also knows that I'm good for probably upping my tickets by two. So I have is it 8? I think I got 8 regular season tickets. It's section 39, which is the sideline end zone right on our sideline. And I've got 2 tickets in the Champions Club. So I always tell people when y'all ready to if you ready to match commitments and you add what I did, then you can come and you can come check me. But outside of that, ain't nothing happening. So again, I want to be entertained. I want to make sure those guys are doing what's best. I think again, pausing that, but let's just go deep into Mike Alford is. This is why I wanted him at booster president. But it's all about fundraising, athletic director too. So he knows that we need facilities. He knows that we need but here's what people are gonna have to realize. Football ain't the only one that needs facilities and facility upgrades. We got a hell of a soccer team that just won a national championship again. I think they've won 4?
Congratulations, by the way, y'all.
Yeah, congratulations. We got a hellacious softball team that shares a complex with them, and they're not too far from a national championship and playing in another World Series. And hell, I remember where I was at. I was in that thing watching them girls play. It had to have been spring. Was it spring game when they were playing in the world? Anyways, bottom line is them girls balling. They're going to need upgrades and facilities. Other people, that's what my fear is. I need a guy who, hey, we're going to get y'all taken care of, but while we doing this, we need to make sure that these guys are taken care of. But as far as connections, knowing how to get it done, nobody better than him.
Yeah, I'm rocking with him. I think it was a great hire. I was hoping that we can get that done. I was just worried, like I said earlier, about how it was going to work with the president. But man, hey, I'll take that all day.
Right. I think he's going to be, and I think he's in tune with what the president wants, with the new president. Things I heard about the new president. He's an academic, but he's a fundraising machine too. He's also very business minded, and he ain't finna yell. He's not the he's a speak softly, carry a big stick type of guy. You ain't gonna, or as I heard one person saying, when it's time to get done, you ain't gonna know the hit coming. You just gonna see it. So I think those kind of guys will help propel us forward. But again, the biggest thing is with Miami and Florida making changes. With those changes comes commitment to building the program. And the game, as I've been screaming the last few years, is you got to spend money or you don't. I hate to use Florida's phrase, but scared money don't make no money. And if we're not going out there and we're not making a commitment to bolster our staff, bolster our recruiting. Really, where we're struggling at, because our staff is, I think we're about 5.5 million. So we're not far off with spending on that part, but our off field, like I think Florida has what we spend on our own field for their off field. And what does that mean? That means like for guys for us so that you guys can know names. Like your guys like KY, Kenyatta Watson, who's one of our off field scouting guys. I'm not gonna give their real his job is develop relationships and help aid in scouting. Um, Steve, what's my man's name? Wears the dingy Air Force Ones. Um, God,
Barto.
yeah. Barto, another guy. Again, same, maybe a step above KY, but those guys need a staff, right? They need 10 guys. 10. We need that are going out and their job is to develop relationships with high schools, develop relationships with coaches, do those camps, do the different things like what Mike and those guys did, which I think was an amazing. Do those camps again. Like that was a great grassroots effort. Shoot, I tell you what, Sam Moore talked about this on Twitter, and we had a couple more guys come in there comment, and he brought up, Seminole boosters and stuff doing more to try to get engage the fans because we got some cats coming out of Tallahassee. And when I played, if you were good enough coming out of Tallahassee, then you went to Florida State, bro. Like you ain't go nowhere. It was like 15 of us from Tallahassee on the team. Like now, I mean, I know Amari from Tallahassee. I'm trying to figure out who else. And then my high school, who's a Florida State Developmental Research School. Like it ain't like the state of Florida. No, it's Florida State's. We're the baby Seminoles. We've had numerous guys. Like we got like 3 4-star prospects on that squad right now, and none of them going to Florida State. Like going to Auburn. Like we had one kid go to what's my guy's name? He went to Auburn last year. 4-star safety. Amari Harvey. Grew up with his mom Diamond. It's just like that shouldn't happen. Like so, like find somebody, hire this person, pay them a good amount of money, 75 to 100,000, or maybe a little bit less, but then give them a budget to where they can work on community engagement. Like hell, like I told people don't know. Now it wasn't just me. I was the conduit of it. It was you guys, the fans, that did this with me. Like so when I do the book bag drive, I'm just the face of it. Y'all really push it. But we bought over, if I do the math, I think we bought about 3,000 tickets this past season. Like we wasn't buying like 10 kids tickets. I was buying 300 a pop for some of these games, and I'm paying damn near full price. Like, bruh, imagine how many more tickets I could pay. Those tickets, those seats are empty. Let's get those seats filled. And what do you get those seats filled with? With kids, with the next prospect. I wanted to go to Florida State because I'm an 80s baby that grew up in the 90s. So FAMU, Billy Joe, Ken Riley, FAMU was rocking. Bobby, 2 national championships during that time. They played, I believe, 5 what they would consider national championship games during that time growing up. I didn't go to a Florida State game until I was a recruit. But I tell you what, when I flipped open that Sunday newspaper, it was like you wanted to go to Florida State. So there's some things that they could do to engage the community. And that's something that you need to have for your off-field staff. Like that's recruiting. You ain't recruiting them it's like when Mike did that camp, like my son attended it. It was dope. Like the only thing they could have done a better job of is we should have been seeing facilities. Like when my son went even though he was mad, the Jacksonville State game, even though there's better facilities in this world, he don't know. So what you got, he saw, and you know what my son said when he left? He said, Dad, they lost, but I can't wait until I come and play for Florida State like you did because I want to play in the arcade. And I want to be good enough to play in the arcade. That's what he saw. So imagine a whole crew of kids that don't know no better. They're getting indoctrinated. And then when it's time to recruit them and they're that 4-star, they're not leaving. They truly talking about putting on for their city. Because I'm going to tell you this. You had your name called on that Jumbotron, right? They say, and from was in Bartow, Florida. Number 23, Frederick Stevenson. Like it just, but when you hear it, and at 36 from Tallahassee, Florida, like that stuff give you like because you from there. It don't matter if you good or not. If you from there, it's like or have Pat Watkins who lives back in Tallahassee talk about what it was like to the guys. Like when you get a group of Tallahassee kids, make sure a vet see them. When you get a bunch of, I don't know about that. Anyways, we got to that's where we got to put that money in. I'm tired of seeing these kids that are in Florida State hotbeds go other places when it's really they don't have to.
I agree. I'm with you all the way on that one.
But like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what Shade Tree's son doing. Like, I don't know if he's gonna go, and I'm gonna applaud Shade Tree for being a phenomenal father and his son and raising a Division I athlete because that's difficult no matter what, no matter how good the genes were. But they got to make it hard for him. Like Pete Boulware got Legacy Toyota. I'd have been like in Tallahassee. Oh, no, excuse me. It's not Legacy Toyota no more. It's Pete Boulware Toyota now. Man, we would have been like, hey, I know you're not supposed to do it this way, but I'd have done it this way. Listen, man, when you sign that deal, man, let me know what kind of Toyota you like. We're gonna get you that. We'll get you doing a couple commercials. All these business owners, all these people like that talk about stuff like that, man. It should be hard for Shade Tree's son to turn it down.
Man, did you see the other day?
With him going to
how his whole family are known,
right?
Like you gotta make him want to stay here. Like that's tradition. It's already in his family, but now that's not enough. You got to give him a reason to want to stay in Tallahassee and continue that tradition.
And NIL is the way to do it. You know, also how you do it. I tell people this all the time. And I was saying this before NIL was ever a thing. Like, I always tell kids who call me and are like, James, I'm on the fence, or like it's a cousin or something like that. Hey, he on the fence about coming to Florida State, and I want you to talk to him, right? And I tell him, I say, our fan base is great. I said, our fan base lets a 37-year-old fullback make a living off of a touchdown that he scored in 2005. And some other big hits and other things. I said, I don't know another place that's like that. I said, maybe Alabama. I said, I've seen stuff at Alabama, but like those guys that I know that went to Alabama that were like lower level positions, like, you know, they may have a construction firm and they go to an Alabama game or something like that and it's love, but like they're not living off of that. They're not like earning an income. And I think one of the, like, for how, like with Marvin, just again, I'm using him as a legacy and as an example, but you really do it for all of them. You show them how much you respect the past so that the present and the future understands what they're really going to walk themselves into. So, like right now, if you're a Florida State fan and you ain't got no 4th and 14 gear or some Jordan Travis gear, you're hurting recruiting. Because you know what Jordan Travis is going to show a guy on his visit? He's going to show him that Shopify store. He's going to show him, hey, look, bruh, this is what happens when you come here after a big game. I showed him 2,000. I showed him 2,000 people signed up for the 5th quarter. I said, man, listen, this is why War Chant, this is why other people hate us. It's because we're getting information, but we're also taking away from their bottom line. We charge $5, but like it's $20 for somewhere else or whatever. Actually, crazy part is we forced others to change their business models. Like they used to call us 50 Cent, the 50 Cent chat. And then they were selling subscriptions for $1 for 2 months. That's 50 Cent. I was like, y'all the real 50 Cent chat. You know, I was like, you know, you just see the things that they do. But again, it's like me being able to tell a kid like, yo, for my part-time job, and I just tell them, I break down film and I give them information. I have 2,000 loyal fans that say, you're bigger than me right now. Like a Travis Hunter, you're bigger than me right now. You're bigger now than I'll ever be at Florida State, than I ever was at Florida State, and you haven't made a play yet. Imagine what's going to happen for you for the rest of your life. Nobody's going to forget you if you just come and make a play. And that's how you really recruit because that stuff gets talked about. Remember when they did the cartoons of us? Like they did it this year too, I think. But like I have been telling them to do that for 4 years because I seen Florida did it with their former players. Engage like that's the hire Pete. I'm gonna tell you who to hire. Hire Peter Ward for that player engagement job. Ain't a player in Florida State history who ain't picking up the phone for Dub. And it ain't a person who can party more than Dub. Like Dub is a hell of a hellacious, fun person to just be around. And he just won. And again, but my point is that we got to make it hard for these kids. Wesley Bessentine, linebacker from Miami, said it's best for his brand to be at the University of Miami. And that's wild to me. Because there's only one linebacker, there's only one person at Miami that I think about it, and that's DJ Williams with Dime Life. And they gave him so it's just something not gonna put your business out there, but like I'm just gonna tell you what happened with DJ and Dime Life. DJ gets to use the old school Miami logos with no pressure. Not even a variation of the logo. Like the actual Miami logo from like the 80s and the early 90s. That sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Like somebody went through something like so I'm just saying like those are the things like when a guy says that, we as a fan base can assist the present, the past, present, and future knows by showing that ain't nobody better for your brand than being a dope boy or being a no. So
oh man, that one bothered me, man. We were running it up so much off that. But
that was a cold ass logo too, bro.
Man, listen, I ain't gonna speak on that, but we still listen. The numbers were so crazy then, but hustler gonna find a way to hustle.
Right. But it's just like, stuff like that, man. Just again, like so I don't know who else got stuff. I know Jay Trav got stuff, and we are a Jay Trav friendly show over here. Any Jay Trav slander would not be tolerated. But what's the boy name? Dylan Gibbons.
Mm-hmm.
Like what them boys doing in the nonprofit side. Like,
that's so dope.
Like, as a guy who's finishing up, his stuff for his nonprofit with Christmas stuff and then things that, Freddie does in the community as well as myself, those are things that you should be like, it ain't gotta, again, it don't have to be like, don't break it back. You ain't gotta break the bank. But man, what's $20 to $30 a month? Damn near. Like, just find one, like it's 12 months out the year, find your 12 favorite players. Support your 12 favorite players. If we have 1,000 fans do that, man, that's an NLI in of itself. You don't need to be like the Gator Collective and all these other things to do stuff. But like, if you got a company and you want some morale, man, have these guys come out and speak to them. Like, go, shoot them the bread. I know Kez and Pete, Kez McCorvey and Derek Brooks are doing some stuff with I guess a guy who was formerly with Seminole Boosters, who they're going to do some stuff to help guys with NIL money. But that NIL is a major recruiting piece, and consistency is a major recruiting piece. And I think that's what's going to be able to help us continue because that's what they're going to lean heavy on, the Gators and the Hurricanes.
For real, y'all players take advantage, man. Listen, you're talking to two fullbacks on here. If that had NIL when I was in college, Bojangles, Hobbit, man, I would have been rich, man. Y'all playing. Y'all seen the McDonald's challenge? I lost, but I would have been rich off the NIL, just off food alone. Y'all be too shy with it, man. I'm gonna be, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of that. Y'all gotta take advantage.
Man, I'd have been out there doing my own. Like right now, I wouldn't have known what it was like because I'd be practicing right now. But like in January, like I'd have been, as soon as I got back home from the bowl game, I'd have been going to different businesses and be like, hey man, listen, What y'all got? Like, just what can we negotiate? We get some food. We can get some this. Like,
I think we're
that Wendy's on Pensacola Street. I wonder if it's still there. Shoot, that Wendy's on Pensacola Street when I was there, boy. You talking about a dude go order 10 junior bacon cheeseburgers? Like, it just crushed him. Like, that was, I'd have been like, hey man, I just need that, bro. We ain't got to do much. Just give me every time I come in, just give me my 10 JBCBs.
That's
That's it.
100 I'm saving in a week.
Right, you feel me? So, I think again, like I said, man, if you got a business, if you're a fan, again, Christmas gifts, booster membership, 4th and 14 apparel or J Trav apparel, or find some other Seminole stuff that you can get so that these guys can help recruit the next generation of Knowles over here. And if you got some, if you could get a 5th quarter membership, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that. Or go to Shop Big Game, get some MFTK apparel. Again, support the past guys. Support my guy Freddie, and you better go buy that damn book. That book was
They better stop sleeping because early in 2022 we dropping the documentary on you. So y'all better go get that book to prepare because there's a lot of stuff we left out of that book that we finna bring into the film. So just to get yourself a little prepared and warm up for the film, because the film, we absolutely dropping bombs. We got some people behind the scenes that y'all ain't even gonna expect to be in the film. We're gonna drop haymakers with it.
That's what's up. So other than that, man, recruiting's going well. National Signing Day is coming up next week. State championship games in Tallahassee at Gene Cox Stadium. If you don't have anything to do, man, go check those kids out. This weekend coming up today, tomorrow, Saturday, I believe, are the three games back to back to back. South Florida is where the big school national championship. The big school state championships are going to be at. This is recruiting. This is a big recruiting weekend. Got some some transfer portal guys coming in. Some guys who are on the fence about what they want to do. It'll be interesting to see these next couple of days because it's a lot of guys considering stuff, and I know Florida pushed guys out, but their biggest thing is to try to get guys to wait until the actual national signing day, which is the first weekend in February. If they can get guys to push off of there, that's a victory for them. We, on the other hand, are trying to close with 16, and we're in it for Marvin with Shaytree Jr., another Armella, another legacy. His dad played D tackle in the 90s. Coleman. No, he's not related to me because the Coleman's on this side of the family. We're big Negroes. He's a little petite, but he's a 5-star wide receiver out of St. Louis. We ain't getting Kelly. Ty West, a D tackle, who I believe I dropped some information in the 5th quarter about him. I feel really, really good about him. There's another kid I'm missing out. I'm thinking about, but we're in it for about 6 to 9 guys. That if we get those guys, we're wrapped up. We're done outside of transfer guys or if a legit guy falls into our lap. So we shall see, man. Be good, be fun, exciting. Pay attention.
A big day coming up next week. I think it's gonna be a big day. A lot of surprises to come in. I think we'll end up with a pretty strong class.
Yep, me too, man. And then sky's the limit. Maybe this could be the 2010 class that ended up being the foundation for that 2013 national championship team. So for Florida State, so that'd be awesome to see.
No doubt.
So, well, for that, you got anything else we want to add?
Shoot, I think we good for now. I think next week or probably a few weeks down the line, we could talk about the college football playoffs. And I'm trying to get one of my guys on soon when I have it here. He's trying to work out his schedule with the company and everything. But he told us early in the season he was going to try to get on within a few weeks.
Okay, we definitely do that. Next week we'll probably look at who's in the class, kind of break that down. Maybe talk about a couple other teams, and then we'll probably until we get out of college football, probably go in and start getting some of these major some of these big time guests that we got. We do have some good stuff coming in. I'm going to tell you right now, we cheap right now. If you want to have your business advertised, Probably be one of the best times to get on right now. It's Sports Day Network, all this stuff. You're gonna get it. It does numbers. So for Freddie Stevenson at Struggle Made 105,
for you.
you said what?
Let me touch on that.
Okay.
Earlier in the year, so we were a lot cheaper. We were just building, and we weren't really, to be honest with you, we weren't really pushing for sponsorships. But people started noticing the numbers that we were doing, and we weren't doing the numbers that we're doing now. Well, all right, this is our rate. And a few people are like, oh, I'm not really rocking with that right now. But just to let you know, today's prices are not yesterday's prices. So the numbers don't went up a little bit. So he's saying they low right now. The next guest we're trying to get on here, they're going to go up a little bit more. We're going to continue to get them on. Like I said, we got a big playbook, and we're going to just keep opening it up. And whenever we need to go to those plays or those trick plays, we're going to go to them.
There it is, man. You heard it. Freddie Stevenson at Struggle Made 105. I'm at Big Game James _36. This is Inside Drills, where we hit you with the rough, raw, and the real. Everybody can tell you about it, but very few have ever lived it, man. We see you guys. Have a blessed holiday.